is on the cooldown, and it would have gripped in Smexon as well. But because Smexon didn't have a trinket, we actually ended up getting the base anyways after his Hex faded, and that is essentially how we were up one man, and we secured the base by gripping the people off the flag, and that's one way that we can actually utilize our grips to secure bases in Eye of the Storm, in DEEPWIND Gorge, Arathi Basin, and any map where you actually have to take a base, and it takes like 5 to however long to get it. And now, as I told you, we're really good for slowing the flag carrier. And here's going to be an example of how I actually do that myself. So I see Brugly here, and I'm a ways away from her. What I end up doing is I end up gripping, and because it's my mistake, I end up jumping. So as the DK, we are not supposed to be jumping that much because we won't get the second grip, as it's going to have a 3-second cooldown on it. So I grip Brugly back, I try to grip her rather, and I don't get the grip because she roots me, and for me, that's really crappy. But as the DK, we're trying to slow the flag carry as much as possible, and we allocate normally 2 to 3 people to do it, as long as middle is fine. And it's going to be our priest, our rogue, and me. And what's happening here is I have a Trent on me, so I try to maneuver myself away from the Trent. And as I make my way towards Brugly, the priest and the rogue are still slowing her, and I end up getting a grip into a clone. So what's going to happen here is Generic is going to cheap shot her, or kidney shot her, just basically going to stun her. As my grip is actually getting off of cooldown, and right now it's already off of cooldown, you do not want to use your grips right away, because you want to make sure that with your priest and your rogue, you're coordinated. So they actually get really mad at me if I end up telling them I'm gonna grip, and they're like, no, I want to use these 2 abilities before you grip because I want them to be on a DR, and I want them to actually be off of the DR before I can use them again. So he gets the cheap shot off, the stun, and then I end up gripping her once, and I'm gripping her again because I was told to. And as I grip her back again, Jordan actually does the Cyclone, and by me gripping 2 times and using the Cyclone, and she has no trinket with that, we've done the Cyclone, and with the Cyclone actually being used, my grip will start being on cooldown, and this is a situation where I've successfully slowed the flag carrier, and she was once here, and now she's actually getting further closer to our base, which she does not want to have. And we've done this within a period of like 20 seconds. So we're stalling the game out for 20 seconds while we're up in bases, or up in points, and we actually end up getting the base earlier. And so that's actually going to be end up in our favor. And now, in Tableau Magu, I've showed you that the glyph of Unholy Command is a really good glyph because of the fact that there are increased stacks, and you can actually make it so that you can utilize the glyph as much as possible. As the DK, our role here is to pretty much obliterate, literally, anything that comes towards us. And we use a lot of LOS tricks to actually secure a lot of kills. So what ends up happening here is the rogue has the flag, and we actually completely destroy him really soon, right here. And he's going to die shortly afterwards. So he's dead. And then we have Smexon right here. He's also overextended. He only has 1 healer that is able to kill him, and he's dead as well. Meanwhile, our whole entire team is grouping up in one position. We see Take Notes right here. Balamos charges into him. We beam on him. He can't heal. He's dead as well. And then here's the situation where I end up using an LOS trick to really not even secure the kill, but the general idea was there. If you use this on an orb carrier, 9 times out of 10 you actually secure the kill. So what I end up doing here is I grip him once, I move a little bit to the right, and then I actually end up gripping him through the wall kind of, because it registered that way. And right afterwards I'm like, get on this guy. So once I tell my team to get on this guy, everyone converges on him. He instantly dark bargains, and because he actually had no healers with him, if he had no healers with him at the time, which he ends up getting the paladin to heal him, this would have been a for sure kill. But this is something that we can really utilize in our gameplay to secure kills, to get bases, and to get orbs. And now, for AB strat, I like going Unholy for this map as well. On Temple Kamagu was the only map that I actually like going Frost for that very reason that I told you with the Obliterates and the Unholy command. Now, with AB, I like going Unholy again because of my pet, which I am notorious for. But with AB, what I end up doing is I put my pet in such a way where he ends up being on the cliff right here. And as you see, because the whole team is situated on this side, I put my pet in such a way where I can kind of get a closer distance with my grip and grip more people. So as soon as my pet is over there, I get gripped myself. That's not a big problem. I see that the rogue and the shaman are making their way, or the lock and the shaman rather, are making their way over to my pet. This is a great situation for me. So what I end up doing is I end up gripping one monk over, I grip the second monk over, I put my body towards the pet, and I end up gripping 3 of them off, just like that. And a situation which could have lasted a very long time with a team fight stalemating because they had 2 monks there, I instantly took out one of their monks. I took out the lock, who ends up teleporting anyways, and then their shaman ends up being stuck here. And this is a way to instantly take out a healer into a team fight, and then you can converge on that healer, kill that healer, wipe the DPS really quickly, and get that base that way. A similar trick also exists in Blacksmith, where you can grip them kind of into the water. It's successful in some ways not. I'd rather, in that case, grip into an asphyxiate and then have my elemental shaman knock them off because it's more reliable and it actually takes them a further distance away. So when we have DEEPWIND Gorge, or when we have Silvershard Mines rather, I like to take the Death and Decay glyph and Chillblains. I take the Death and Decay glyph when I'm Unholy because it's a ranged slow, which is AoE. And I like to take the Chillblains because whenever I'm spreading my dots, it's kind of like a melee slow. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. And our job as a DK is to kind of make it so that whoever is inside the cart gets away from the cart. So what I have here is I tell Zaryu to put a Ring of Frost. He ends up putting the Ring of Frost down, right, as you see right there, and I'm making my way towards the Ring of Frost, and I'm gripping a number of their teammates into the Ring of Frost, and so they get rung, and that is essentially what our role is over there. And what I would do after that is after that ring AoE grip is finished, I would use my death grip and start gripping people off the flag. And that is essentially what our job is in that time. If Slip and Slide was a Destro lock, in any team fight, what the melee's job is really to not target call, but to really be really annoying to the Destro lock so that he does not get any Chaos Bolts off. Because there have been times when you let a Chaos Bolt go off, that Chaos Bolt will infinitely kill any target that it's on because it will hit for 200k and it's a really absurd amount. You do not want that to happen. So when you're in a team fight, really let your target callers target call, but as your job, try to stay on the target that is dealing the most damage to your partners. Stop as much of that damage as possible. Another viable talent to glow is Asphyxiate because there are a lot of times when they have Aura Mastery up, so you can't silence them, so the only thing you can really rely on is an Asphyxiate. But I'd be really cautious with your Asphyxiate because if you do it and your rogue wants to, let's say, kidney bomb, he's not able to, and suddenly what could have been a kill doesn't end up being a kill. And now, when it comes to the final map, which is Warsong Gulch or Twin Peaks, we kind of fulfill the same role, but let's pretend here that I was going right out the starting gates. What I would do here in this situation is when I'm mounting up, I would take note of where all their healers are. If I find that all 3 of their healers are in the team fight, I'll team fight and take note of their positioning. As soon as one of their healers ends up not breaking off from the team fight, I'll go to that healer, make sure that he can't get to his FC who's trying to pick up the flag, because by doing that, I'm stalling the flag carrier from getting the flag because he is in a very vulnerable position when my rogue, my mage, my shadow priest are staying back, and as soon as he picks it up, he has no healer to heal him, and he's instantly dead. So that's kind of the situation that we want to make ourselves be in. By stalling the healers getting to the FC, our FC ends up having an easier time getting the flag, picking it up, and potentially getting a quick cap. But in this example right here, we'll be gripping in targets that are overextended and end up getting the kill on those two targets, or in this case, the one target. So as you see here, I'm mounting up. I see that Phil DK is overextending. So what do? I tell my team that I'm going to grip him and Chains of Ice, and we just completely obliterate him, as you'll see here. I grip him once, slow him, Soul Reaper him, and he just dies and flops instantly. And this is the kind of idea that we want to put ourselves in. We want to grip in the overextended targets that are high priority targets, or threats rather, for our FC. You have Phil DK, who is a Frost DK who can really obliterate FC by when there are increasing stacks. Frost ends up actually doing a lot more damage because it's a lot easier to get the burst off. And so in that situation, you want to grip in the targets that are overextended and get the kills on them, so it leaves pressure on your FC. And then for the second part of this video, I actually see that Slip and Slide, who is a target that I'm really supposed to be on the entire time after the fact that I stole the healers. I see him and I end up going away like really soon, and I see that he's breaking off from his healers, so I end up seeing that he gets gripped. I end up gripping him once, gripping him again, and then instead of using my Gorfine's Grasp to grip into a Ring of Frost, I end up using my Gorfine's Grasp in such a way that I can actually get a lot of pressure on the DPS and potentially forcing a kill. But in this case, I don't actually get the kill, but that's a general idea. You can use your Gorfine's Grasp in such a way where you can grip the target again in conjunction with the two grips that you have, or you can use it with, as some people would say, your combo breaker, as one person has said on another stream, which would be like your ring, your solar beam, and like all of your AoE abilities. But in this case, I opt to use it as a offensive ability to get a person out of position and grip them so that we can potentially land the kill, which doesn't end up being the case. But either way, I see Slip and Slide on my targets, and that's the target that I'm really going to be on for most of the game, because as soon as he gets a Chaos Bolt off, and it's my job as a melee to stop him, I know I've failed because he's won games entirely for other teams just by getting one Chaos Bolt off. So that pretty much concludes the entire guide. What I've talked about is the stats and why haste is actually a really bad stat as opposed to crit. I've talked about why PvP power is actually not as bad as you think it is. It still does affect your necrotic strike. Probably not as much as your strength does, but it's still a really nice thing to throw in there. If you really want to match the socket bonuses, you let yourself know that you're not really wasting that many stats by going PvP power. I talked about your talents and glyphs, general cookie cutter stuff, your damage rotation and the two openers that you can do, as well as what kind of your priority system is. And when your target is at 50%, kind of a general idea of what you should do. Your macros and your add-ons, which everyone has talked about, it's nothing new. And I ended off pretty much the big bulk of my guide by talking about advanced techniques that you can use in your arenas and RBGs. So if you want to see more, twitch.tv/Lacero, and thanks.